I'd love to hear from you what type of e-learning projects you've completed recently and what were some of the key challenges you faced.
Thank you, Vikas. Professional Learning Board, as was mentioned earlier, provides online continuing education courses and to K-12 teachers. So our development work is focused around creating continuing education across numerous subject areas for K-12 teachers, and in many respects we're also doing the equivalent of compliance training. And we're continually faced with challenges of dealing with delivering our end solutions, our end learning programs to teachers who come from across the country, across the world, are accessing the content with a large range of devices and age of devices. So we're dealing with people who have old operating systems, old browsers. Many are coming in on low-speed internet connections, and now in recent times we're starting to see more and more mobile devices coming in, like many people. And so we have to be able to deliver learning programs that can address those needs, be usable and meaningful, and provide positive experiences across all those platforms and delivery options. At the same time, probably like many people, we're facing the challenges of the expectations for the richness of the content, the interactivity of the content going up, even if not all the devices may be the best use of or best means of interacting with the content. So, and like everyone, we're all having to do that within very restrictive budgets.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms of project usage scenarios, what kind of criteria have you used for tool selection, and what are some of the lessons learned?
Well, when we're creating online courses, we are looking to be able to deliver a rich learning experience, as I said, for the audience that's meaningful and across all those different devices and such, and so we have to find a way to do that again at within a reasonable cost. And one of the things that we've done is one of the easiest ways to provide interactivity is through Flash-based interactions. But when developing Flash-based interactions, that's the way it used to be done. The instructional designer would develop, what the parameters of the interaction are, map it out, script it, etc. Then a Flash programmer would have to program it, and then back and forth. And for us, we needed to find a way to put as much of that back to the instructional designer as possible, so we can create as quickly as possible and as easily as possible those interactions, and reduce our time in doing so to get them out into the product.
Got it. So your focus was on making sure that the instructional designers are self-sufficient in terms of building out the final output, rather than sort of run it by the Flash programmer and then get things built out there and then bring them back and critique them and so on.
Right. We needed to find a way to speed up the process and streamline it. Mm-hmm. And when the instructional designer can design and actually build the interactions as part of their content development process, you get a much smoother process. It works faster, and we're able to finish our projects faster.
Totally.
Which of course saves money.
Got it. So let's talk a little bit about your use of Raptivity. How do you use Raptivity in course building?
We have, for a very long time, for several years, used Raptivity to create interactions within the course content that help reinforce and continue to engage the learner outside of the more formal assessment process and mechanisms that are employed elsewhere in the course. So we're either reinforcing content or doing mini assessments throughout the course content, and we're now seeing a need to actually use the interactions to help deliver the content, and we're starting to migrate that direction.
Right. So you started out by using Raptivity for reinforcing what was learned, and now you're sort of beginning to explore the use of Raptivity to deliver the content itself. What were some of the benefits you saw in projects where Raptivity was used, and did you run into situations where you felt the need for custom interactivity building?
Well, the benefits are very simple. We've been able to reduce our costs and reduce our development times by going to Raptivity for building out interactions. Because as I said, now the instructional designers can do it, and they also find great satisfaction in being able to control that process, that part of the development process, because they have control over building the interactions, and which is good for them because they know what they have envisioned, and they can actually make it happen. And when we come to the editing and review process, either internally because we're producing e-learning courses that as our product, as well as producing it for others, or when we bring it to a client, we're able to go back to the instructional designer and much more quickly make revisions and updates and tweaks as necessary to get to the final product that we can then deliver to the end user. And in reference to the need for custom interactivity building, we haven't encountered a situation where we haven't been able to customize the Raptivity templates that come with Raptivity to do what we wanted to do. We've always been able to find a type of activity and make the necessary adjustments, and over the course of the several years we've been using the tool, we've seen that become easier and easier. So we're able to get more and more out of the existing templates because either the tool becomes easier to use and easier to customize, or there become more templates to come available, and that helps us meet our needs.
Right. That's good to hear. Could we see some examples of stuff you have built and your team has built using Raptivity?
Yes, I believe we have 4 examples I'm going to go through. This first one is an example we use to provide reinforcement of the content to the teacher based on the content that they've been going through. So it gives them immediate feedback based on the scenarios we're presenting them related to the content. This is also a good example within our company. We use whiteboard and chalkboard motifs in our branding, and we've been able to incorporate in this example activity that branding was incorporated into the actual activity. So there's a consistent brand experience throughout the course.
Got it.
Okay. This is a formative assessment activity with delayed feedback where we're using it to, I think this might actually be before the student goes through the content, to have them go through and order a learning process, and they're forced to get the correct answer, and it's a nice activity. It gets them engaged in the content.
Right. And DJ, I must quickly sort of acknowledge here, there's perhaps a typo. This is actually a formative assessment with immediate feedback because it won't let you do it wrong. The next example probably is a better example of delayed feedback because it seems to let you do everything.
You're correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. In this example, we're asking the student to categorize information that they've learned in the previous section of the course. It's very simple. We embed these activities within our learning management system, and you'll notice that you're not really seeing instructions. We're doing those outside the Flash activity that you're seeing. So they are given instructions in how to go through the activities as well.
Right. And then it's kind of nice that you get to compare your answer with the correct answer after the fact. So you kind of learn what you got right and what parts you did not get right.
Yes, the students enjoy having the activities because
Right.
they break up the rest of the delivery of the content.
Mm-hmm. All right, and what we got here, a game.
This is an example of we have a course on cognitive skills and learning, and in this situation we wanted to provide a fun way to break up the content because it's kind of heavy, and at the same time use something that's applicable to the content. And in this case we used, without any changes, the Sudoku game that is in the Raptivity templates, and it worked nice because it's very relevant to our content and also fun for the students.
Excellent. So good variety